But seriously, but it started then. I think just seeing a lot of stuff growing up. I didn't grow up rich or anything. Like
Mm-hmm.
my grandma was she was poor, like
Mm-hmm.
my whole family. So just seeing stuff like I would low key I would cry when I would see homeless people on the street,
Yep.
like, and I was passing by in the car, Pisces shit as a little
Yep.
kid.
Welcome back to another episode of Keeping It a Bean. Keeping It a Bean is a podcast that brings together conversation and culture all over a cup of coffee, or in tonight's case, in most cases, tea, because we're filming this later at night. So we are out here. If you are new here, my name is Marquise Davon, Keese, but never Mark. Please don't ever call me that in your life. Don't laugh, because I'm dead ass serious. Someone tried it, and I'd be so mad when they do. Irritating. But if you are here returning, then you already know what it is. Hello to niggas and niggas only. I appreciate y'all coming back. That means y'all have hit this like and subscribe button. If you are viewing this here podcast, then that means you are looking at two very lovely faces, which means you are checking out with us on a lovely Sunday morning on the YouTube. So you already know, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave some comments as well about what you enjoy about this episode and all that good stuff. Outside of that, if we are your Monday morning drive, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So please make sure that you are tapped in, and please leave a rate and review. Leave 5 stars. Let me know what you enjoy about this show, because for podcasters, that helps us show up in the algorithm a lot more, and similar podcasts can show up as well. So that is the best way to support podcasters. I urge everybody, stop right now. Say, I love this podcast. Give it 5 stars, and then get back to listening, please and thank you. Other than that, if you want to support this here podcast, you can do so in one of two ways. You can do so monetarily, so going to patreon.com/marquise.davon. That is MarquiseDavon. There you can donate or invest in this black man for as little as $2 a month, which is $24 a year. And that's much cheaper than that Planet Fitness account that you're not using. So enjoy. Thank you. However, other ways of supporting me monetarily is also, if you want to have me come do a workshop or speak on a panel or be a keynote speaker. I've done that before as well. You can also reach out to me at my email, richardsm.davon, that's DAVON, @gmail.com. If you're interested in any topics that I talk around black masculinity, prison abolition, politics, social justice issues, I am your guy. Education, social emotional learning, I do all the things. And so those are different ways that you can also support me as well in a monetary standpoint. However, we on a way to a depression, okay? And so if you cannot support me monetarily, you can do so by telling a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about this podcast, because word of mouth is still the most powerful form of marketing as well. So please make sure that you are supporting this here podcast. You keep up with the hashtag Keeping It a Bean on Twitter, or hashtag KIAB as well. This way you can keep up with the conversation and I can respond to you then and there. If you see a video on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or YouTube Shorts, please share it out with the people. Please leave comments and engage. Again, that helps drive more viewers and more eyes. And, people want to actually hear what we got to say more of. So please, please, please help this here podcaster. Again, an independent podcaster. I'm not with the network. It's a little bit more difficult for us. So thank you. I think other than that, shout out to Olay for having me on another episode of Olay and Friends. We got to talk around Lil Boosie's homophobia. Shout out to the Fighting Femmes. We're out here. It was a time. And so it was really good to just indulge in that conversation around, like, what does this actually look like, and how do we prevent Boosies from happening once again, which the name is just funny. preventing the Boosies from happening. Okay. What's going on? What? And so thank you, Olay, for always having me on and having these important and timely conversations as well. So I'll make sure to leave the link below to all the different podcasts that I have been on within this last little bit of time. Yeah, I think that's everything. We can get into this episode. Okay.
I'm ready.
Yes. And so I am so excited to hop into this conversation. And before we get started, y'all, please give a audience round of applause for this wonderful, beautiful human that I get to call a friend. I get to just enjoy ranting about when we're just like, fuck this politics shit, and it's throwing it all up, what is going on in terms of social issues and whatnot. A good time all the time. One of the best smiles out here. The skin is clear as ever. The lovely, the incomparable Andres.
What a
Welcome,
warm
welcome,
welcome.
welcome.
What a warm welcome. I really, really appreciate that. Thanks for having me. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
It was super last minute, so transparently,
We working on it.
we working through it.
Okay.
So we out here. Nah, but truly, thank you for coming. And again, like I'm really excited to want to have a conversation with you. Also because like I enjoy how we experience our friendship. So we'll kind of get into that a little bit too, because I'm just like, it is so like non-linear.
It's very Pisces, Virgo.
Very, yeah, sister
That's what it
signs.
is.
That's right.
Okay. It's very Pisces, Virgo.
Very much so. So we're gonna kind of get into a little bit more of a conversation around like our own political development, also just like how we see the world as well. Because I'm always like super interested in like when you start getting on your rants and you know, I'm in my bag right now. It's my favorite thing to see.
Hide my phone.
But before we get into like the main part of the conversation for today, we open it up the show every single time with the Keeping It a Bean segment. So Keeping It a Bean is keeping it 100. This is your most authentic opinion about anything politics, pop culture, or personal, whatever you want to talk about. It is your hot take today. So what are you keeping it a bean about?
So keeping it a bean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that the Brazilians are back on Twitter because they're here to defend mother, period. Thank you very much. Okay? So y'all little girls that be playing on mother's internet needs to stop.
Who is mother?
Beyonce.
They were playing with her in her face.
Talking about she knows. Well, guess what? Now we know. Now we know. Okay.
And mind you, everybody else was just like, what's Raheem going to do on the internet because Brazil is down?
No, literally.
That was quite literally.
We were really losing. We were really losing the girls.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
quality content.
Quality content.
Okay. We were really losing quality content. It's crazy.
But y'all are back now because they tried to ban Twitter in Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Wild
crazy.
time.
I mean, Musty.
Musty.
She's doing her thing. I mean,
Okay.
but yeah, they really banned the girls for some time. The Supreme Court banned banned Twitter over there in Brazil. They couldn't even use it on their Starlink
Quite
stuff.
literally. I was just like, what is going on here? So, but we're glad y'all are back. Okay.
Thanks for supporting her. She deserves it.
She does. Thank you. You're amazing.
I can't, I really had to let people know. That was on my brain. It's been on my brain for the past month because y'all have really been trying her.
Nah, truly and honestly, because I'd be like, so we really just jumping I'm like, we're jumping into all these allegations. I said, so we're not going to take time to like think. But it also just made me realize, I said, oh, people are just out to get Beyonce just to get Beyonce.
It's
like they want to see
unhinged.
her like a downfall. And it's actually very annoying because I'm just like.
Twitter has turned into Facebook. It's really sad. So there's that.
Yes. Honestly, because I was looking at it, I said, I've never seen this much disinformation happen outside of Facebook.
Like all day.
And it's literally all day. And I was like, we've always had like, the Illuminati rumors and stuff like that. But now it's to the point of just like, people don't know fact from fiction at this point. And it's actually like super concerning because I'm like, yo, you actually don't have media literacy at all. And you don't know how to cite, like, you don't know what an actual source is at this point.
It's all these TikTok points. That's all it is, honestly.
Yo. Okay, I'll get to my keeping it a bean. But no, we're quite literally, Vaughn and I just had this conversation earlier. Then my friend Sahara is also ranting about it. But also they just started talking out loud. Some people who work for TikTok know exactly like the negative impacts of TikTok on adolescents. And they're just like, it's causing more anxiety. They are sitting on TikTok doom scrolling. And so they're starting to lose the ability to critically think. But then they're also becoming spectators of their lives rather than actual participants of their lives.
Why do you think China has a different TikTok than us? Okay? Why do you think that the kids have a totally different TikTok than us? It's like, come on. They know. I mean, not to talk about China, but baby girl, she's been whacking us.
She's been whacking us back and forth.
Okay. She said, y'all are easy target.
No, immediately. And it's wild because it's just like, we know there's a capitalist aspect to it because I'm just like, oh, no, you are going to continue to engage and continue to make money because now for TikTok being a #1 app, but I'm like, this should have been top of mind when they had to take Facebook. He looks wild. What is his name? I'm not bugging on the inventor of Facebook's name. Mark Zuckerberg. Zucky's funny looking behind.
Jesus.
But it's just like, yo, you're actually pushing disinformation and misinformation out intentionally, particularly to black people. But on top of that, I'm like, so now, you know, when our moms used to be like, nah, it's them phones, they messing y'all up.
My mom's on the phone more than me now.
Child, let's get into it. Because I said there's some stuff that I keep getting sent. And I'm just like, I feel like this
All
happened
day.
on like WhatsApp,
Facebook Messenger.
and Messenger. Yo, don't get me started. But now we're here. But the reality is, like, for them to say that out loud, I'm like, yo, this makes sense. And I think I see it from like working in higher ed and also working in education. I'm like, yo, the ability for kids to critically think, the ability for like younger people to like regulate emotionally, those skills are like out of context now. And I'm glad you like brought that up, because like me and my boy, we were talking about it over the phone yesterday. I was just like, yo, kids know in theory that the stove is hot, but kids don't know that the stove is actually hot.
So we're talking about limits then. Like, there are no limits, and there should be some limits. And there are no safeguards for the kids at all. Like, it's just all day. You know what I mean? Up until nighttime. I mean, when we were growing up, we were on our own devices, whatever.
Right.
Like,
but we had to grow into the devices, though. I think that's a little different, because I still remember being outside and running around and stuff like that, scraping your knee. Like, we know what that pain feels like, right?
The algorithms are way stronger now. Like, I feel like TikTok, like, if I see a post and I sit there dying, chuckling, and like it just peeps that little time, extra time that I spent on that post, I'll see like 5 others like that.
Yeah, that's why I'd be annoyed when I start like liking stuff, because I aimlessly like shit on TikTok. I'm just like, nah, there's some TikTok. I just be there for Jackie Aina. But like, I don't even do makeup, but I just like her.
The makeup videos are kind of cute.
Huh?
I said the makeup videos are kind of cute.
No, let's be clear. Like, they are kind of cute. I enjoy them, but I be cracking up because I'm just like, I just like watching her do like rich black girl things. Like, I was like, ooh, well, look at her. She deserves it.
That is nice.
Okay, I said, look, I'm gonna be the type when I can get like all white sheets and like just being able to just steam all the time. That's it. Like, it's over for everybody. How do you know I became rich? Everything's white and off white.
Okay, multiples.
Okay, feeling like Jay Lamina. I only wear white. But I think it's been interesting because it's also like TikTok also reinforces anxiety in kids, which is like wild to think about, because they can't sit with long form content anymore. They can't formulate as many like complete and cohesive thoughts. And so the idea is like kids are only literal thinkers now. Yeah, they can't see beyond like the literal. So the idea of like in a story, if somebody were to walk into an ocean, and we know the story had like a religious element to it, walking into the ocean can symbolize what?
Walking into the ocean.
Right, he's not the nigga said literally. A baptism, my nigga. Damn, a religious overtone.
Oh, okay. Well,
what is water and religion look like?
She's been away from the church.
That was oh, you know what? A child.
Okay.
But that was actually part of like the thinking that we were having. I was just like, oh, symbolism doesn't make sense. Metaphors don't make sense to kids anymore. So they take it and it's just like, this is the most forward thing I see. And so like the idea, and I used to bug out about it because I remember when I was teaching 5th graders, I was like, oh, kids don't imagine things anymore. And it is wild because I'm just like, even if you think around like lyricism, like Mariah Carey can talk around a song about sex, but think around it in an idea of a butterfly coming out of a cocoon. She can write like that. Yeah. But today it's just like, oh no, like, fuck her right, da 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 da. Like, it's very like straight to the point.
It's actually really sad. Like, that's what's happening in schools. Like,
yeah, like you realize like we had like Common Core was moved, and then students are being pushed to a test, and so now the idea is like you either have they don't understand like the world is in shades of gray anymore. And so this idea that like, oh, once I learn this information, I learn this definition, I apply it to this test in order to pass, in order to graduate, aka the Keystones, right? PSSAs, they were doing that. But that idea of...
We didn't have to do that in Catholic school.
Huh?
I didn't have to do that in Catholic school.
That's right. I forgot that she went to Catholic. You know what? We'll get back to that.
Okay. Yeah, so in like grade school, we had what was called the Iowa test, which was your PSSA. It was just called the Iowa test. I don't know.
You did that in Catholic school?
Yeah.
Interesting. You went Catholic school your
While
entire life?
You guys are doing... Well...
Until 11th?
up until 11th, then I went to Wilson for 2 years,
Tragic.
and then I went to LaSalle, which is a private.
Yeah.
It's Catholic, so.
Huh.
And now look at her. She's liberated, living.
Okay.
Yada.
She's
yada,
alive.
yada,
Stop
yada.
playing with her. Stop playing with her. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
There's a lot of things you don't know about me.
You know what? That's also facts. Wow. This is secretive human. Wow. Let's learn some new things. But it's funny though, and that's why I like crack up with like the audience and stuff too. That's why I said I feel like our friendship is not linear, because there was a time where I was just like, you would just appear sporadically. Y'all, we are no longer on the topic around like TikTok and stuff, so we are absolutely just moving away from that. So now to our non-linear friendship.
It's our non-linear conversation.
It's the brain, how it works. Do you remember how we became friends? Because I remember you just appearing.
I mean, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I mean, but
either.
it could have been.
Was it through Jane and Amanda? And that?
Well, yeah, it had to be that way.
Yeah.
But it could have been many other ways.
Oh.
I'm dead ass though. Like,
not truly and honestly. Could have been many ways. No.
Get your thinking cap on.
I gotta get the thinking cap on. Like, when did we?
I would say.
Was it college or senior year?
It had to be with Jane. At Jane's fiesta.
Yeah.
One of her New Year's parties. Is when we started to hang out. Like, that's when it started. But it's kind of been like.
Yeah, it's straight like
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah. Not straight like that. You know what I meant? Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking about it. I was just like, yo, there was a time where like you started appearing. I was like, who is this new person? But I feel like you've known all of them. But the reality is, I think I knew of you before I knew you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it was.
Well, I knew your brother. I knew Rev.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes more sense then. Yeah.
That's why I was like, get your thinking cap on.
You knew my older brother before you knew me. Okay, then we're here now.
Yeah.
We're here now. Yes, because I remember seeing you, and I was just like, that is a very attractive human over there. I remember that.
you.
Yeah. Because I was like, it was annoying, because I was like super insecure as a kid. So like when I saw like other people, I was like, how you look like that already? Well, I hit my 90s fine like later in life. Like it took me to my sophomore year at college to like.
This is why I don't let everybody onto my Facebook. Okay, because the past is in the past,
and it will stay there.
you Adi. Okay.
But that's sweet though, because I think around our friendship, and you said it very funnily but very truthfully, is like it's a Pisces Virgo dynamic, which is hilarious because I'm just like, there is no start date to the friendship, but anytime we are definitely together, it is always a time.
It's a good time.
And
girl, we had a time last night.
A time last night. Indeed. No, but it's appreciated because I realized with probably closer to 2020 that we were a lot more politically aligned as well. And I realized, though our friendship was in spurts and moments and definitely like events where we were at the same space at the same time, it made me think around like, oh, how intentional have I been around like developing like much more of a friendship with you in terms of, because you're always somebody who's been there. And I'm just like, I just always enjoy you when you're around. But I also realize as I've never been the person to like actively be like, oh, Andres, let's go hang out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I mean, but that's kind of how I am with people though. Like I like to be by myself.
Yeah.
But like,
are you a homebody? Are you an introvert?
I would say so. Not me always looking into the camera, but like, I literally would say so. I mean, I like spending a lot of time at home. I like a lot of my alone time. I feel like throughout the day, I give a lot of energy to a lot of people, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
So that when I get home, I'm like, oh my God, finally, Jesus Christ.
Right. Okay.
It's a lot. It's drama all day. So we gonna play all day. So I'll be ready for my nap.
No, that's valid though. Oh, that's sweet though, because it's funny because I'm always, when I see you, obviously we be outside. So I'm just like, no, one thing about us, we gonna dance when we outside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A
time.
Yeah.
I definitely have a video from a bunch of years ago.
Not the best part.
It was. We were on tables.
Yeah, I remember. It was fun.
It was a good time. Mm-hmm. Wow, that was a long day. Obviously. But funny enough, like I think around like those moments, and then also realizing like when I think it was closer to 2020 that I listened to you a lot more, and like I saw the tweets, I saw the stories, and was just like, oh, we talking the same language.
Ditto.
Yeah,
No, I felt the same way.
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
It was I still sometimes when I'm scrolling and I see your stuff, I'm like, yeah, we see each other.
Yeah, very much so.
We see each other.
But I always think about it because I realized I never got to like have the conversation around like when did that politic for you really set in? Like, is this something like you've always been this way, or was there a defining moment for you that was just like, oh, there's some things that are just not right?
Growing up, my mom was always like, you need to watch the news.
Yeah.
You need to know what the hell's going on every day. Like, I used to be like, why is the news on? But like, she was like, no, we're gonna watch the news.
You gotta pay for everything.
The news in the morning because history is being made every day. You know what I mean? History every day. History's being. That's what she would say to us. She'd be like, history's being made every day.
Yeah.
You got to know what's going on. You got to know what's. You have to know. You can't. So it started for me like George Bush.
Yeah.
Oh, my mom was she was a Republican.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was. That was the last time she voted red.
She got shit together right after.
And we be checking her shit all the time. So mother, if you're listening,
we're proud of you.
Okay, because you making progress, girl.
Growth.
Okay. But I just think it has to do with her own background, but that's besides the point. It started for me, honestly, as a little kid, like Bush, and then always being interested in politics. Like right after that, Obama. Yeah. But I was always like the kid that was watching the presidential debates, like in like sixth grade. Sixth grade. Yeah, that would be one of them. But I remember that.
Oh wow, you're right. Because we saw him in 7th grade.
I remember that really vividly. Like, that's what it started. But I also like. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be like, I wanted to do that. I was interested in politics. My mom was always like, you'd be a really good politician. You'd do really, really well in that. And I kind of saw myself as a square. I'm more like whatever now. Yeah. And in my own way, but okay. Okay. No, but seriously, but it started then. I think just seeing a lot of stuff growing up. I didn't grow up rich or anything. Like my grandma was she was poor, like my whole family. So just seeing stuff, like I would cry when I would see homeless people on the street, like, and I was passing by in the car, Pisces shit as a little kid. But like stuff like that would make me really sad, and I would always think, why are people not helping these people outside? Like, why are people not doing stuff about this situation? Like, that's really, really sad. Like, and just seeing the humanity in everyone. I really resonate with just my grandma always helping people out even when she didn't have anything, and growing up hearing her stories about how she would help people back in DR, or my grandma went to jail for hiding somebody.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she went to jail for hiding someone.
This ain't like Trujillo.
She gone now, right? So see, this story don't matter, but but she did. She really a real one. Like, seeing that. I remember there was a family that came from Puerto Rico, and they were homeless at the time. And she helped them. Like, she was helping them get clothes. She would get my grandma would be one of the people going to get food at the food pantries. She wasn't rich, so like that's what I saw growing up. Like, I just I was always told to remain humble, and I really am appreciative of that. It's made me see all sides of the world. Like, I'm seeing this, but I'm going to private school. Like, I'm seeing white people. I'm around white people all day. Like, going to private school, BC, and then to Wilson, and just always being in like 2 different spaces. All the time. Like, it was constant code switching, but also just that's just how I grew up. So I always saw what was going on, and I think it just really expanded how I felt about people. And I think that is what helped me like align myself with a certain. It's what made me get this far left, but
Yeah.
I didn't start. I did not start like that.
I think
She was definitely pro-life because
Yeah.
of Catholic school. Okay, okay.
He said pro-life, but now, okay.
But the
Choices
girls
are
checked
necessary.
it. They checked it really quickly.
Okay.
Mhm.
No, but that's man, there's so much in there that I think is so important that like speaking to like the humanity piece, but also like developmentally, like you're in these in between worlds because you're just like you're seeing a world of privilege with Wilson, right?
Mhm.
But then you're also recognizing like, oh wait, I'm still the poor person who is just being having to exist in this space.
Yeah.
And so you got to hear the conversations that white people are having.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, it's also just like, dog, like there are fundamentally different worlds that we are coming from. And so I love like hearing.
That's why she can be in all types of spaces.
Okay. Yeah, I can go anywhere. Yeah. And thrive anywhere. Stop playing with me. Okay.
Okay.
She's her for
Okay,
real.
yeah. Don't you forget it.
Yeah, but so much of that like deeply resonates because I think like I didn't have to necessarily experience that kind of like the racial difference all the time.
Mhm.
More explicitly the racial difference until I went to college and was just like, oh, there is a whole nother world out here. And I said, oh, y'all are different. But it's my first time interacting with like rich white people, rich black people, and realizing like, oh, nigga, you was like poor. Like, and it was just like a different world for me growing up. But I think it's also important because something I always say about growing up in Reading, we have some of the most giving people that I think exist in the world. And that's just because we see so much of different walks of lives happen, right? Like some of my best friends were undocumented people. I can say like we've seen a lot of that growing up. One of my best friends, Astrid, a DACA recipient, right? And so like thinking around like so many of the people we grew up around literally did not have the rights that we had. Literally,
those were the conversations. Growing up, those were literally the conversations growing up. So it was just like you would kind of be kind of crazy to like avoid those.
Quite literally.
Yeah, it would be like denying reality in a sense.
And like, I think that's something that I don't think we've ever had the privilege to do. And I think that's the reality because for us, because I love what you're talking around is just like serving and seeing other people and just giving like has always been a pillar of who you are. And it started with your grandma and being able to witness that. It started.
Giving is how you receive is what she would say.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Because it's simple as that. Because that's what my pop-up used to talk around. It's just like, if you have it, you can give it, and it will always come back to you. It might not come back right away, but it comes back tenfold. Yeah. And so he used to teach me that, like, while we were fishing, to be honest. He was like, you will wait when the time is right for you to have to, like, pull your hook to get the fish. That's when you know it's for you. And so it really taught me the level of a space for discipline. But I also recognized, like, off camera before here, we were talking around like grandparents and stuff like that. But I had realized I was just like, oh, the way that my pop knew how to love me and teach me to be a man was through patience. I didn't have to learn to be the most macho. Mind you, my pop used to be a bodybuilder. Like, so he's doing like the actual the things. He loved working in a factory. Like, it was a thing to like demonstrate like his manhood and all that stuff. But seeing my pop as the simple man who enjoyed westerns, fishing, and jazz music. It was
sounds
simply
like a good time.
Yeah, but it taught me the value of like slowing down and like knowing when something is for you, it's gonna be for you. But spending those summers out there, I was like, oh, I had no choice but to experience life slow down. He was out in like Macungie, Pennsylvania, so it's like 40 minutes out, and like it's only people who live in like trailer park homes. It's a very specific thing.
Secluded.
Yeah, very much so secluded. But he would drive. We would get up at 5 a.m. He'd make breakfast, and then we would go out to the Delaware and start fishing and just like spend hours out there and just like talking. So I just remember watching him like look over the river, whatever body of water it was, and then also just talk around like, and this is why it's important to just like stay grateful for everything. He's like, this is a skill that you will have that you can take into life, and if you were never to be able to eat, you know how to fish. And I was like so interested because now I kind of take that of just like, oh, not only is it like a world where you can give, but it's also like honoring every single piece of the world that is out here.
I think maybe just quickly going back to like the whole social media thing, maybe that's what's kind of missing in society right now, like that whole aspect of that valuable time like that we used to have to be human, to be like getting that type of advice. Like,
Yeah.
we don't see that type of. We don't even have close families anymore. Like, people aren't close in that way. Like, no one's planning on what's happening in the next few weeks. Like, it's gonna be Thanksgiving, it's gonna be Christmas, but it doesn't feel like Christmas. It hasn't felt like Christmas in a long
like a holiday
since 2019.
season. Okay,
and it's not only the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's just how we live today. Like, that's what we're missing. Like,
no, I fully agree with you because it's funny, as you like talk about that, because I think that's the reality. Like, younger people are spectating life. And like, even like you think around like lifestyle influencers, they're selling an aspiration more than they're selling what a real life kind of situation is. And so we see the glitz and the glam of the friendships. We see like the final product of one of their rooms in their house and stuff like that.
It's how we've all managed to even curate our own social media, because we just won't even allow ourselves to be like, hey, like, I'm going through real shit today. Like,
truly, like, and that was the thing, because I it was funny because I had posted on Instagram the one day. I was just like, y'all, I ain't gonna hold, like, it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I was cooked. I was like, my mentality is not in the best space. Like, I'm stressed out. I'm crying at work. I'm frustrated. I'm like, I have no idea what next means for me, all of this stuff. So it was like a world of transition. And so many people just said, yo, thank you for just like being honest. This was refreshing. And I was just like, dog, it's just something to get off for real, for real. I was like, why'd I use social media? Normally I go to my journal. I just happened to just use my phone that day. And it was just like, it's not perfect here. And it took me back to reminding ourselves of when we used to take bad pictures of our food. Like, I was like, oh, like when we used to post this random shit that we just enjoy. And now everything feels like it has to be curated and a photo shoot. And I know, like, even for me, like, part of my social media is now also my business. So, like, I don't even interact on social media the same way anymore because I'm just like, exactly. But I just got done saying it around, like,
we don't say no anymore.
No, and that's.
I'm here at this podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but But I say all of that because I had realized this year for my birthday, the amount of people who were just like, you had people show up for you, and I did not realize the amount of privilege that I had. That 60-some people can come up for my birthday. All get, dressed up in the same color. I had them all wear like, nudes and tans and browns and shit. But when people asked to like see the pictures and they saw the photos, they were like, yo, you don't even realize like some people don't have this. And seeing like the way that my friends and I are just like, cool. So Thanksgiving is going to be happening in Queens. New Year's is in DC. All right, we get birthdays, this, and this. And then we're making sure like we make those times and it's like super intentional. But
that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but it made me think around like also how we grew up too, is like our friends were like our nucleus of like people. I was like, I never have been overly close with my family. Love my siblings down, but there was a different level of closeness that I've always had with the friends that we share. Because I'm just like, no, like these are the people I went to college with. We had study nights together. We got in arguments together. We disagreed, but we also got to grow with each other in some spaces. And was just like, oh, we have to grow into this. But oftentimes when we grow, they're always just like, you're not going to be friends with the people you went to school with in high school and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, nah, dog. Like, I've had the same friend. Like, Ari has been my friend for 20 years as of this year.
It's a long time.
We've known each other since 3rd grade. Astrid and I have been friends for 19 years. Like, to think around it like that, like...
It's a really long time.
But you realize, like, that's, like, such a fleeting thing for so many people now. And they don't know how to, like, cultivate it.
I mean, honestly, that's what it feels like. But I think that has to do with me, so in general too. But I mean, I agree with what you're saying. It is like that, but there are, I don't know. It's so many ways that can happen. Like just having those relationships. I'm going on a tangent.
The tangents are fine. Like I'll be long-winded as fuck. Go ahead.
When you went to private school, what was like one of the moments that you realized, like, damn, like shit is different here?
What do you mean by shit is different here?
Like, they're not poor, and they're not just like, just like middle class. Like they got stuff.
Yeah, these people got stuff. Playing football, like we went to one of our teammates. LOL. We went to one of our teammates' parties or whatever that they were having at their house, and he lived in Wild Missing, but like, when you go to Museum Road area, like,
dog,
money.
Oh my God.
Okay,
Yes.
like Taylor Swift, girl.
Yeah, no. I know exactly what that was.
No, it was like, okay, so we're there at their house. So I was going down in the basement, and I noticed that me, my friends, and my little brother was on the same team. But
I'd be forgetting you played football.
Me too, bitch. I be trying to.
That's a part of my life I don't remember.
Okay, trauma.
When I had my 5 years of basketball, I had to play.
Okay, but that's besides the point.
Yes.
Well, when I was with the Straights, so I'm downstairs, and what I start realizing is that they have us all downstairs while everyone else is like upstairs doing whatnot, and they have all the minorities downstairs.
That's
like
wild.
yeah, so they had us kind of
behavior.
secluded or whatever. So it was one of the first times. I mean, there's a bunch of times like white people just with microaggressions. You know, I went, especially high school kids and people around that age, just ignorant, just doing dumb shit. But you don't realize it at that age most of the time. You just realize like, oh, this feels bad.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel too nice.
Because it's the emotional space. We can't articulate like why it feels bad or why it's different. Like we ain't know what the fuck microaggression was. We didn't know what code switching was. We just knew like
when I'm around these white people, this is how I talk. When I'm around these black people, this is how I talk.
Exactly. It's straight like that. So that's wild because I think about that a lot because it's also like you learned about your race before you had the language of what it was. And like I think our parents used to talk to us about it. Well, actually, my mom actually never talked to me about it. I experienced it differently because I remember I experienced racism as early as probably 5 or 6. Probably no. I lied. I was 7. Because growing up, my 2 younger brothers, their dad's like white, like blonde hair, blue eyes, white. So I remember there was family photos and like me not having my dad, I would always kind of just get lumped in. But I remember the one time their aunt was just like, all right, now we only want like all of this family. Marquise is too dark. He got to move out. And I looked, I said, oh. I said, well, I'm just not part of this. Now, my mom ended up cussing her out. It was like, you're not going to like treat my son any differently. But
it's just wild to say that to a child because you don't forget stuff like as a kid. Especially stuff like that. You'd be like, damn.
Like, why? Oh, that was the first time I recognized, I said, I'm different. I'm treated differently. But it was like the first time, and I didn't fully address it until probably 2 Thanksgivings ago now. Around like, growing up with all of my older siblings being light-skinned and biracial, my 2 younger siblings being like super light and biracial. And for me, I was like, I show up as the darkest sibling. So I was like, I've experienced colorism from every single one of y'all. Like, and I don't think you realize it, just the messaging that I've heard as a kid. I said I internalized that because it took me a long time to like unlearn being brown skin, darker skin is not bad, but it shook my confidence until I was like 20 something of just like, am I not attractive? And that's why I like overcompensated. I said as a kid, I was like, I had to lean into my books a lot more because I'm like, you might be able to call me ugly, but you can't ever call me dumb. Like it was my defense mechanism. I was like, I can be as excellent as possible. All your beauty is going to end up fading. And so like, it took me a long time until I was just like, oh no, like I'm actually a good looking person. It took me until like early 20s to like, just be like, oh, I actually have confidence in myself a little bit more. But it's so interesting because I think around like how both of us even like show up in this world a little bit more. I look at you and I'm just like, you move with all the audacity possible. Like people are gonna know who you are. Not you looking like that. At least that's how I see it.
It must be nice. He says,
I don't know what you see, but
it make it a little crazy.
But I think it's wonderful and such a beautiful thing to see because I think around like as we talked around all of these different experiences and like how we're seeing the world and coming into our own politic of like being as radical as we are and just like I'm moving further left and left and left and left. But I think part of that liberation also comes with like being able to like radically love yourself in ways in which like we felt as the world didn't see us. And so I think around that as well of just like, when was that moment for you where you were just like, y'all gonna get what you gonna get. I'm gonna move as I want to move. And if you don't want to be around me, that's on you.
Definitely me coming out.
Yes.
Yeah. It was just like the moment when I was like, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I think that whole like year, that whole process of coming out was like finally like saying no to everybody.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm definitely gonna just do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be happy, and I don't care.
Yeah.
I literally just don't care. It changed everything about me, but I don't think it was me. Like, I think it was everyone's idea of what they wanted me to be, and I was just acting that. Like,
oh,
you know,
ooh, yo, I actually feel that deeply. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I've always felt extreme pressure to do really, really well. My mom was always like, "You're really, really smart. Like, you know, you speak really well. You do this, that, and the third." Like, and then I always felt pressure to. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be like I said, a lawyer or a doctor." Like, I literally was like, bio pre-med my first year of college, and that changed really quickly. It was just letting everything go and realizing that it didn't serve me, and it was for everyone else.
Yeah.
But that's also a process in itself. Like, you don't realize that as you're doing it. You realize it like 6 years later when it's done. Like today, I realize it over the past couple of years, but it was definitely coming out.
Yeah.
It was losing Catholicism.
Yeah.
Turning completely, like, I'm definitely agnostic for the most part.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I might be an atheist, honestly.
You know it, because I'm in between, somewhere in between.
Yeah, I go pretty with that. My mom, she'll be like, "Let's go to church," and for her sake, I'll be like, "Yeah,
sure."
You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me. I mean, I went to church, Catholic school, every Friday, and then on Sunday, like,
yeah.
It wasn't clicking for me.
It's not clicking.
Something wasn't clicking.
Yeah.
But it was losing that. Like, allowing myself to be challenged.
Yeah.
Questioning everything.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why do I believe? Why do I believe what I believe?
Yeah.
Like, who? Why? That was literally one of the biggest questions.
That's wild.
Throughout my, like, early 20s.
Yeah.
Like, definitely why.
Yeah.
Who's telling me and why?
And what is this thing?
It was about forgiving. Like, it was also like forgiving parents and you know what I mean? It's that's what it was. That was my big moment.
Yeah. It's my big one. Oh man. No, because I appreciate that, because it is when you stop thinking around like the pressures of everything too. Like, for me, it was very similar in the sense of, like, the first time there were 2-3 crucial moments in life in terms of me, like, moving with a little bit more audacity. It was going into my 9th grade year. I had to pick between the cello and basketball. And it's the first time I told my mom I don't want to play basketball. But I had told her, I was like, I only play basketball because it's the only time that me and you can bond. Like, you go out to my basketball games. You do not go to my theater stuff. You do not go see any of that. But it made me early on have to decide, like, am I going to choose this for me, or am I choosing this for my mom? And I, like, as a kid, to, like, think around that, it was interesting because that year was pivotal, because that's when I also stopped going to church with my mom too. I was like, I only go to church because it's, like, time to spend with my mom, but, like, it never made sense to me. I was like, whatever, I don't know what's going on in church, but I know in this James Baldwin book, that's the first time I was just like, I'm learning the same life lessons.
I like the books that were in the little pews because they looked really pretty.
Yep.
I was an altar server. I was literally an altar server. I did that because I was like, yeah. I really have. Okay. I did that because I knew that, one, she gets to wear one of the little things. And I got to ring the bell. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, I don't get what's going on, but as long as I get to ring the bell really quickly, I get to pour some water in this man's hand.
Yes.
And I get to sit down in a better chair. What? You guys are crazy. And the whole time everybody else is doing stuff, like, you get to just, like, be there and just observe. And you think you're, like, doing stuff, but you're really not doing anything.
Yeah.
But I did that for years.
But wow. I love that.
From, like, 6th grade to like 10th grade.
Wow, that is wild. And
one time I got, for the listeners, exclusive. So I got in trouble one time, like, I was like 18. I was 18. And we went to a party in Muhlenberg, and the cops came, but I never even went inside the party.
Yeah.
But they were like, you guys are out here being rowdy and stuff like that. I said, I just arrived.
Yeah.
But I got what was it? Not a disorderly conduct because she was a little kid. Something like disturbing the peace. Some small thingy. Child, my grandma went there one day or with us to court that day, and she was like, child, the way that all I had to do was go and do 3 little weekends as an altar server. Grandma.
She knows.
She knows. Okay, she does. So I mean,
yeah.
I can't believe how I got to that, but yeah.
No, I'm fully here for it. Oh man. And so, like, honestly, I love the like breadth of where this conversation was going because it was nonlinear indeed, but in the best way possible. I was like, I think we were able to go from like that hot take around fucking where did we start? Because how we end up at social media? Beyonce,
because
internet.
The Brazilians are back. The Brazilians are back. Okay, they've been unbanned and they're out here defending mother.
Okay, as they should. Thank you. But we moved from that into social media, into like your own radical identity and development, into just also like your actual own like liberation of like who you are. And I think it's so important because sometimes I think we kind of theorize around like here's where this goes and here's how this moves, and I'm just like, nah, like real life be happening in terms of like how we see the world, how growing up colors our world.
It's every experience that shapes us into who we are. So
absolutely.
It's like I've said all I said today, but there's a bunch of other things that have happened. Like
facts.
My older brother Christian, he's always talking stuff, and like I think that if he didn't challenge as much as he did or anything like that with my mother and all her beliefs and just speaking and just being a smart ass dude, like I was like, dang, like it wouldn't have pushed me as much.
It's funny because it was my older brother that pushed me. I got out of college and was just like, all right, it's down. We got to, what I say, dismantle white supremacy, patriarchal capitalism, blah, blah, blah. And he looked at me. He said, what the fuck did you say, bro?
Right.
It was quite literally. But I realized, like, going to school, there's a privilege of language as well. And so I was just like, oh, I'm learning all of these terms. But my older brother's like, if you can't talk to me, a regular nigga on a stoop, who are you helping? Which is what incited all of, like, the world of podcasting for me, just in general. Because he's just like, I love what you're doing, and it's consistent. I see you're passionate about it. But, like, who are you actually talking to? And so that really, like, shaped the world that I wanted to go into, because I'm like, if I go home and people don't feel the thing that I'm doing or can understand what's going on, then they're like, yeah, I support you, but how are you helping me? And I think it went back to like how I think around like my own commitment to service. I've always volunteered. I've always thought about community. And so like the thing that I know I'm really good at in terms of like communicating information, if I can't reach my siblings, I can't say that I can be an activist. I can't say that I'm like this thought leader. I can't say like I want to bridge academia in the hood and like not live that out. And so like for me, it's always been like the podcast is a consistent reminder of like, oh no, I need to always like practice what I preach in my politic, because theory is easy, praxis is hard.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Yeah, and so I appreciate these reminders, and I love like also just to talk around like our grandparents and like how they were able to like really be pivotal figures in our lives.
Super.
Of just like seeing us differently.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be who I am today without that. Like, no. Yeah, totally not.
I'm fully with it. But sir, yo, thank you for coming on. I know, like,
wait, we're done.
How much time?
I was having fun.
Huh? We want to keep going?
Yeah.
I ain't got shit else. Well, let me get to my hot take now. I didn't get that far yet. Anybody got a hot take? If you keep it in the bean about something, any other random pop culture questions? What's happening right now in the world? Not you Googling
the
right
polls are looking crazy.
Oh, you know what? Honestly. Oh, and, okay. That was my hot take. Sorry.
Poll anxiety.
Yeah. Nope.
Can we talk about poll anxiety? I can't stop looking at them.
Oh, it's actually ridiculous. Yes. Because it's annoying the fuck out of me because this goes into like my hot take. If I'm keeping it a bean, black men are voting democratically, overwhelmingly democratically. So I'm actually annoyed, quiet as kept. I said, y'all are pissing me off. When I saw Obama talking to us like that, I'm like, you should be worried about the non-blacks.
Thank you.
I said because
It's not even the majority of the population.
It's not.
So
It's
so
not.
what are we doing
What are we
with
doing? I
with
said
talking about the 78% because it's a big number, but it's only 13%. So what are you talking about?
what are we talking about? Don't piss me off. And so that's actually been my hot take because they're doing like this thing, and they do it every single time an election comes around. Black men aren't voting democratically. They're not going to do this. Yes. Are there black men who are simply not going to vote for Kamala Harris because she is a woman? Yes, that's misogynoir. We know how some of these things go. I said, but overwhelmingly, there is this idea that black men are not engaged in the political process. And I said, that is actually a lie. It's actually a lie. And so I'm just like, if they continue to run with this narrative, I worry about the unintended consequences of pushing more black men away. Because I'm like, if you continue to shame somebody into voting, that actually does not inspire people to vote. Mm-hmm. It actually is annoying the fuck out of me because it reminds that kid where you say, where we're already going to go sweep that floor. Now I don't want to fucking sweep.
Yeah.
Like you really be feeling like that sometimes.
I was that kid.
Yes.
I hated when somebody told me something.
And then you don't want to do it no more. I said it might be a little oppositional defiance. We out here. Mm-hmm. But it's something I've been thinking about more because I'm just like, there's this like very pointed thing. I'm like, yes, in politics, we should absolutely just do the thing to persuade people to want to vote. Mm-hmm. That's a thing that happens. I said, but there is this consistent movement of like, oh, black men don't vote or not engaged in the voting process democratically, and we're fearing like they're going to Republican. Honestly, you should be worried about white people.
The majority of the people come like, what are we doing?
Talking about?
What are we doing? That's literally crazy. It's insane. It's insane. It literally doesn't make sense. But you know, white people, accountability hard. Oh.
Just I want to ask you a question because I already asked Marquise this. How do you feel as though Kamala Harris's mixed race is affecting the way that black and brown people see her?
I mean, I guess it depends on who you ask because, like, but I just also think that, like, I don't know if I like the question. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Not that it's but like,
why not?
I think that, like, what the point that he's making is that too much emphasis is being put on how we feel when we really we've shown how we're gonna vote. Yeah. Like it's already 80%. Like 78 is 80%. Like that's, you know what I mean? It's like the way that they see her. I mean, it just depends on who you ask. But I mean, people deny my blackness. That's my reality. Like, you know, I'm was constantly fighting that in college, and it's like, I don't really care what you think. I kind of know who I am. Like that's just kind of wild to say, but like people are always gonna have that question. Are you fully black? You know?
Do you think that it's different from Obamas?
Is it different from the Obamas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's black and white biracial.
Yeah, and also
sorry.
And
no, like he's saying this, but like, why, in your opinion, do you think it's different?
He's a man. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, he's literally a dude. Like, guys already get that extra pass. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Shout out to patriarchy.
Mm-hmm. And no, it's just literally he's a man. They're already trying to get low hanging fruit off of her identity. It's just like I don't see it. Like, I don't see the reason as to why we need to. But I mean, I know why they're doing it. They're
and that's their agenda. The crazy part is like hearing it down the line is like Trump utilizing as a talking point. Suddenly she's black. I think she's black. She might be black. And then hear like a Janet Jackson like repeat that talking point was like wild to me.
And double down.
And double down on it. And she said, "Oh no, you're fired." She fired that publicist right away.
She did double down on it. She did it one time, right?
Google's free.
Check it. She quite literally said, "Oh no, he was not supposed to write that.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to say that.
He didn't speak
She doubled
for me.
down.
She doubled down and fired her publicist."
Okay.
Like
she's wearing her red hat.
I was stressed out. I said, "Rhythm Nation didn't mean nothing to you, girl. What's going on?" I was upset. Like,
disappointing.
And I'd go up for Janet. I love Janet Jackson down.
No, I wasn't listening.
Huh? Oh man, but it's funny. Like, it was funny. Like, you also bringing up the point of people attempting to like deny your blackness, and why is this is the first year I actually experienced that in this like election cycle, because people have been like, "So are you like fully black?" And I was like sitting in a round table of like black men discussing like politics and stuff like that, and they were just like, "Well, are you ADOS? Am I a descendant of slavery?" I said, yes, my family came from Barbados. They ended up in South Carolina, and they ended up being enslaved on Edisto Island. I said, so yes, my family has been enslaved. They said, but like, ain't your dad from Puerto Rico? And he was a maroon. I said, so what are we talking about?
It just doesn't.
I had to get into them because I said, bitch, you're not about to try and
There just isn't enough education around black history.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Because they didn't know what a maroon was, right? Like, and I was like,
there's not enough education around it. They're not supporting us regardless. So
yeah.
What do we anticipate or expect of people that aren't, it takes a lot for a person to be like, hey, I actually want to learn a little bit more about.
It takes humility.
Okay.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, I might be wrong about X, Y, and Z. Like.
But I got one note to keep it a bean. I don't think social media is the real reason why kids are going up so much. I think it's because of lack of experience in community. Like when I was growing up, I feel like social media taught me a lot, but I don't think it could ever replace the real thing. And like if you're going outside less, if you're connecting with people who are like just in your classroom less, like seeing your friends less, I think has a real effect over social media. Like I think that like social media apps, they're supposed to get better over time.
They say we're building a community, but the best way to build it would be to go outside.
Yeah, because it's the reality. It's wild to me because I said, not me feeling like one of them old heads who be wagging their fingers, but like, no, because I be like, y'all don't just talk to each other. But I had realized, I was just like, oh, y'all, like the social cues, like people, we don't trust our gut feeling anymore, right? We don't know how to like see disagreement happen and not think that it's the end of the world, right? And so like even in that moment, I had realized like, oh, most people dealing with like friendships and stuff, you're good. They don't realize that disagreement is normal in friendship, right? We're not going to see everything eye to eye all the time. There are going to be moments where we disagree. There are going to be moments where tension is there. But so many people are so quick to be like, if we don't agree with everything, it doesn't exist. And I'm not saying like if there's like political differences. I was
gonna say because if it's coming down to my rights,
you're wrong. You can get two left and a right.
Thank you.
I got myself keeping it being. Now, I don't know if you guys saw, but there was a Tesla event where would you get in that car?
I'm such a big like nerdy kind of dude too. It's the Pisces, multifaceted. Okay.
Would you get in that car that drives itself?
Well,
that's my old man. I'm not.
Technology went too far.
I hate that, man.
Yeah.
I really do. But in terms of somebody who just loves like the advancement of seeing it actually happening, the advancement of technology before our eyes, it's scary.
Yeah.
But it's also really, really exciting. Like it's really, really cool to see a Tesla robocar like just going around, even though I have some questions because they're already doing that in California. They have the Wegovy one, or I don't know what it's called. Now Wegovy's oh my god. But they have something like that similar that's already working, but I don't know. It's hard because I'm like, oh, the safety of that. But then I see like yesterday, like SpaceX, the whole rocket was able to freaking land. Yeah. Like literally land into like that's crazy.
Yeah.
The ability we're gonna be able to go to places.
Yeah.
And come back. Yeah. More frequently. Like that's cool.
That's wild. Like technology is so cool, but it's so scary at the same time because I gotta send you some podcasts around like AI ethicists, and they've been like discussing like how fast AI is moving, but like because of it, we are done for. Let's be clear.
My God, we're not going to be able to read or like do anything.
Speak for yourself.
I am.
It's not
okay. There's the book.
Especially like citing information or like knowing what's real and how to.
Don't get me started. That's a whole other episode.
AP language and composition.
Look, got me together real quick, okay?
I think
Facts.
all
Time we got?
places should have a literacy class.
Okay.
That should be a mandatory class is media literacy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes,
in high school, not in college. In high school.
No, it needs to happen more often because I also like the hot take is that our generation was actually taught media literacy, because as technology was setting in, we had to know what was good, what was a safe site, what's not a safe site, knowing exactly how to cite our sources and stuff like that. So we were taught to be
very mindful,
very demure about the internet,
and I wasn't.
Yes,
but yeah,
okay.
It was the truth, though.
But we were also healthy skeptics of the internet as well. So we didn't know what was coming, but in reality,
there was always reminders of whatever you post on the internet.
It's gonna be staying there.
It's gonna be forever. It's gonna be forever.
It was a lot less safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think that's the thing, though.
But it deterred you at the same time.
Yes, because we were just like, oh, we got to be careful around what's there. Now we're oversharers on the internet in some capacity. But I think around like the difference of what Kavan was talking about is because, whatchamacallit, I was right here. Oh, it's like they don't know a world without a phone. Mm-hmm. They don't know. So like for us, we're like, yo, we had to wait until after 7, 8 o'clock to be able to get free minutes. We had to wait.
It's so nice when you really think about it, because
right.
you really playing the whole day. You're really outside playing every single day, and then 7 o'clock hit.
Friends, and we could not wait. Like our friends would fall asleep on the phone together. Like we would just do all the things, just annoying.
Get the house phone.
Truly, and low key, I was thinking about the other day. We were talking about. We said, oh, we had UFU growing up when we had to go into UFU. That was like Zoom before Zoom. Yeah. For the context. Come on, 20.
That was really. That was a
time. But I realized that more and more of just like, there's this book I want to read called The Anxious Generation, but it's essentially talking around how after 2013, 2014, something like that, kids who are like in their development stages at those points in time, like they don't know a world without technology. And so this is becoming the parents who are just like, take this tablet so you can shut up. And that's what's happening, right? Mm-hmm. And so for them, they don't know like the social cues we had to learn. They don't know when your body feels uncomfortable. Yeah, like that part. But because of that, it's causing kids to be much more anxious. A lot more kids are going to be experiencing depression, but also it's uncomfortable for them to see other things because the algorithm is only feeding one idea consistently. It's not necessarily saying like, oh, we have to live with these ideas in contention, which then goes to English class when we can debate ideas and stuff like that, which is not happening because they are now taught to a test. And so I'm like, oh, so that mixture of the advent of social media and technology and the algorithm, then No Child Left Behind, on top of that Common Core, kids in college right now are at low literacy rates. So it's like even staying in
and capitalism is going to continue to capitalize off of it
every single time.
Period.
I think even with AI, it's just going to be harder and harder to distinguish like what information is actually good information.
Yeah, reality.
Because that girl almost got me one time. I said, that photo's real. Oh, it's not. Almost got me. Yeah. Other than that, I'm glad we got onto those rants. Mm-hmm. We are now going to start wrapping up the show. I'm going to have so much fun like rewatching this, John. Thank y'all. Also, this is why I love having the B Mike here. But last but not least, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Honestly, this don't got to be the last time. Like, just come whenever you want.
I was like, oh, I'm a little nervous. I was going to my little Uber, ding, 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 ding. But then I was like, we started talking immediately, and I was like, honestly, this is pretty comfortable. Yeah, like, it's cool. So
let's fucking go.
You want me to come back? I definitely will.
Oh, ain't nothing but a word. We record every Tuesday, so whatever you end up doing on Tuesday night, just come back out if you would. Like, you can be in the audience, you can be on the B mic, like all the things. Yeah,
I'm down.
Oh, come on, on friendship. But before we do head out, please let the people. Do you want the people to know where you're at? How can they find you?
If you so please, you can on all socials at Darson_Santana. Mm-hmm. That's me.
Period. Mm-hmm. It is so good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Please make sure you can follow me at Marquise Davon across all social media. I'll make sure to leave all of Andres' information in the description box below. Like I said, it is so. Dog, I'm so excited. And on top of that, like, I'm just excited so we can go watch this Ta-Nehisi Coates talk together. Like, it's gonna be such a good time. So
that's the 28th.
28th. Yeah. So I will.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited.
I'm gonna definitely listen to that book one more time.
Yeah, I'm gonna
just to like, because it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Have you been watching the interviews? Oh, we're done with the show, by the way. We will see y'all next week. You can hit the drum. Yeah.
Let's go.
That's all right. I will be looking. You all good over here?
Do you mind if I put this on Do Not Disturb?
Yeah. I think it is on Do Not Disturb.
Oh, okay.
It's on like something called Me Time.
Okay.
So. Okay.
All right, we're good.
All right, say less. We are getting started. We will clap in 3, 2.